In the main event, Naoya Inoue does what Inoue does.
この方はケン・ライドアウトという方で、アメリカの元ウォール街の金融業界で成功したビジネスマンであり、現在はマラソン選手として知られています。彼は40歳を過ぎてから本格的にマラソンやトライアスロンに挑戦し、数々の大会で好成績を収め、4度の年齢別マラソン世界チャンピオンとなっています。また、過酷なゴビマーチレース、モンゴルの砂漠を走る155マイル、約 249.49km のウルトラマラソンでも優勝を果たしています。
Broke down TJ Doheny over the course of the first 6 rounds, and then in the 7th hits Doheny with a vicious body barrage. Doheny grabs his back. Not sure if he suffered a back injury or if it was just a culmination of the body shots, but he needed help getting back to his locker room. He had been 4-0 in Japan and doing really well. They're fighting out of Australia, Irish guy. But Inoue just continues to dominate and establish himself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. How'd you like the performance?
Yeah, I'm here to defend Inoue. Not that he needs defending. Some people are down saying he didn't look spectacular. Look, he is pound for pound. Him.
そして、こちらの方はテディアトラスです。彼は、アメリカの著名なボクシングトレーナー及びスポーツコメンテーターとして知られており、特にマイク・タイソンやマイケル・モーラーといった有名ボクサーを指導したことで知られています。
And Crawford are still the 2 top guys, and Usyk. I put Bevo up in that stratosphere, that rare thin air. I put Tank Davis up there. I mean, but Inoue and Crawford for me are 1 and 2 either way. So they're gonna get more.
You don't think Usyk gets up there in
that
like
Usyk's
1
there too.
A, B, C, because he's got 2 divisions. He's so good at heavyweight.
Well, actually, yeah. I came out after he, with that incredible fight, and he unified all the titles against Fury. I came out and I made Usyk number 1. And Crawford agreed.
I agree.
Crawford agreed. Crawford even said it himself on his own that he'd make him number. So I had him number 1. But I'm just saying, Inoue
I got you.
And Crawford are right up there. I guess the way I should have said it, for number, fighting to see who's right behind Usyk. And to me, the 3 of them are so close.
I agree. I think if Usyk was spoke English more fluently and had a bigger personality, like a Fury type personality, he would be arguably no one would dispute him being in that like top 3, for number 1 with Crawford and Inoue. He's so good. I mean, the way he moves as a heavyweight, especially against those bigger guys, he's so friggin' good. Olympic champion. He's got everything.
And the way he always wins. He always finds a way to win.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you would say, he doesn't even know how to lose. He never loses at anything.
He won
so
the gold medal in the Olympics, too. And he unified all the cruiserweight titles, too. So
never has problems outside of the ring, just a gentleman, never disrespects anyone. I can't think of a single negative thing to say about the guy. He's funny.
Representing a country that's at war.
Yep.
No, listen, in a way, they're all great. I just get upset when they take shots at Crawford and Inoue. Crawford, his last fight, what did he do? He looked human. He moved up another weight class and won a 54-pound title against the guy who had 300 amateur fights, was undefeated as a pro.
There's no credit for the opponent. It's just negative for Crawford because he didn't knock him out in the first 3 rounds. It's crazy.
They knock him that the opponent was only 10-0. Look, the opponent was a good, solid fighter with 300 amateur fights. Crawford did what he had to do to not get careless, to not be reckless, to move up, respect the guy's strength, respect the guy's size, win the fight, win it clearly, competitive fight, but win it clearly, and they're going to knock him. So some people are going to knock Inoue. They're going to say, he fought a 37-year-old guy who was 26-4, with 20 knockouts, so Doheny can punch, and he's a southpaw, and Doheny is awkward. He's a hard guy to deal with. He controls range. He looks to keep you on the outside. He looks to knock your head off when you come in with a straight left hand from the southpaw position. So early on, Inoue had to do what Crawford had to do. He had to fight smart and careful. He had to fight very deliberate, very on point, where he couldn't make mistakes. So he did. He was cautiously aggressive, very cautiously, very slow, very patient. Taking the first round was like a nothing round, taking his time, and then he was stepping it up after that a little bit, started stepping it up gradually. But there had to be caution. There had to be respect for the other guy fighting the way he was fighting. And otherwise, Inoue wouldn't be 28-0 with 25 knockouts, the undisputed super bantamweight champ, 122 pounds. If he didn't know when, kind of like that song with Kenny Rogers, if he didn't know when to hold them and when to fold them.
これは、ザ・ギャンブラーという歌の一節です。彼が引用したのは、いつ手をキープし、いつ引くべきかを知っているという部分で、これは勝負や決断における適切なタイミングを意味していて、井上選手が試合中に攻めるタイミングや守るタイミングをしっかりと見極め、慎重に判断していることを、この歌詞を使って表現しています。
And when to walk away. Yeah, you have to know that in anything in life. So, in a way, did it the right way, his way. A lot of people, now he's human. There's Superman. There's a kryptonite for Superman. I haven't seen it yet.
クリプトナイトとは、アメリカのコミック、スーパーマンに登場する架空の物質で、スーパーマンの唯一の弱点として描かれています。
Was there some flaws in Inoue? Did he get hit more than we're used to seeing him get hit? Yeah, he got hit some straight left hands from the southpaw. Again, very awkward, staying on the outside, not taking chances for the most part, Doheny, fighting a smart fight, fighting the right fight, trying to stretch the fight and get rounds where he can survive and then have a chance to land something. Stretch the fight out by staying outside, giving ground, and forcing Inoue to take the chances and then looking to nail him with something big. That's not the easiest style to deal with. Inoue had to deal with it the way he did. He was gradually looking to break him down, started to close the gaps more. Again, yeah, he showed some defensive flaws where he stood straight up on the outside, got hit by the southpaw in a couple spots. Doheny did a good job blocking punches, kept his hands up well. Inoue keeps his hands up well too, and does a lot of that. But in the end, Inoue was getting to where he needed to get to. He was closing the gaps, doing it intelligently, doing it, yes, cautiously, but doing it the way he had to do it. He started closing the gaps. He started getting to him. Doheny had a good third round. Inoue looked good in the second round. But then Inoue, after the third round, again, started applying pressure, doing it behind the jab, doing it without trying to make mistakes, and going to the body. At the end of the sixth round, by the sixth round, it looked like it was a matter of time. For me, it looked like Inoue had his number. He was closing the gap. Now putting the pressure on with the 37-year-old Doheny, who was dangerous early on, and showing you what was about to come. That he was going to break him down, he was going to wind up stopping him. And Doheny, I give him all the credit. He came prepared to fight the right fight, to give himself a chance. And by the end of the sixth round, it looked like something was starting to be wrong with Doheny. I don't know if he got hurt at the end of the sixth or the beginning of the seventh, but he caught him a good body shot. Inoue did by the end of the sixth round. And again, the writing was on the wall for me, what Inoue was about to do. And in the seventh round, he just picked up where he left off. He saw the roadmap. He that he laid out in the sixth. So he went out there in the seventh, just continued what he was doing, closing the gap behind the jab, going to the body, and he caught him early on with a left hook. Looked like it might have been around the hip of Doheny, and that was all she wrote. Doheny looked like he got I don't know if he got a hip pointer or if it was the back that went out on him.
Looked like it must have been the back, because on a hip pointer, I think he would have recovered in time, but he needed help getting back to the locker room.
Yeah.
So, and they're saying it's a possible lower back injury. I don't know if it was come from a punch or if he, pulled something in his back as a result of all the body shots.
Either way, it was going to be one way. It was going to be, Inoue. So I am not buying. We sell, we buy. If somebody says, if we had that segment, buying and selling that they have on some of the sports shows on ESPN, Ken, if you ask me, are you buying that Inoue, gets knocked down a couple pegs off this fight? No, I'm not buying. No, I'm not.
No way.
No, I'm not buying.
I agree.
So at the end of the day, Inoue not only stays undefeated and stays at his lofty place in the sport, but he's a step closer to the fight that I think everyone wants now, with Inoue involved. And that's a fight with the other champion, the bantamweight champion from Japan, who I think everyone is looking to see Inoue in there with Nakatani. I want to make sure I'm getting his name right. He's 28-0.
Junto Nakatani, WBC champion, bantamweight. Yeah,
Junto Nakatani. Now, I guess Aaron wants to try to get to where they can make that a super fight over there, or over here. I would assume it would be over there, but they're heading towards that. They're heading towards that fight, and that would be that would be quite a fight. I'll tell you why. Because that's his style. Nagatani he's tall, he's long, he can punch, and he's disciplined with his identity. He knows his identity. He knows how to fight tall. He doesn't give in. He keeps his range. He makes you fight his fight. He makes you come into dangerous waters, go through a dangerous neighborhood, and he looks to mug you. And he looks to mug you when you do that. So him being tall, long, Nakatani controlling the outside, looking to catch the great Inoue, who's going to press the fight, obviously, to catch him coming in with uppercuts and, counter shots. That would be an intriguing.
Yeah.
For me, that's a fight that's off the radar. We're all talking about we'd like to see, we're going to see Beterbiev, obviously, in Bevo. We can't wait to see that. That's going to be great. That we'd like to see Canelo and Benavidez. Doesn't look like we're going to see that. We'd like to see, I'd like to see Tank Davis with the undefeated kid from Newark. Shakur
Stevenson.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah. I mean, there's fights we would love to see, but off the radar because we don't know as much about it. It's over in Japan where it's more known. But I'd love to see.
Well, when they're fighting on a Tuesday morning at 4 a.m., it doesn't exactly appeal to an American audience.
That's a good point. But I'd love to see that fight with Inoue and Nakatani. I think we're going to wind up seeing it. But I think that Inoue is saying, my son told me this, that Inoue is saying that before you're going to see that, he wants to see Nakatani, who obviously hasn't fought the level of guys that Inoue has yet, but he would like to see Nakatani fight his brother, Inoue's brother, who is
Takuma.
Yeah, who is also a world champion.
At the same division, bantamweight 118. They both of Nakatani and Inoue's brother have titles there. WBA for Inoue, exactly. WBC for Nakatani.
Yeah, exactly. So he'd like to see him fight him. And he's in position where he probably could make the demands for that to be.
I'm sure.
That to be one of the demands. But I also want to give credit where credit is due. And we talk about, and I try to give credit to all the people that deserve it and the top trainers out there. There are a few. There's not a million of them, to be honest, but there's a few. But the father of Inoue, he deserves credit as a top trainer. He really does. He not only trains Inoue, but he also trains his brother, who we just talked about, who's also, as we said, a world champion. His father reminds me Lomachenko's father.
ロマチェンコの父、アナトニー・ロマチェンコは、2017年にボクシング記者協会からトレーナー・オブ・ザ・イヤーに選ばれ、翌年の2018年にはリングマガジンからも同じくトレーナー・オブ・ザ・イヤーに選出されています。彼の指導のもと、息子ワシル・ロマチェンコが世界的な成功を収めたことが大きな理由で、彼の独自のトレーニングメソッドが評価されました。
I was gonna say, Lomachenko, even the fighters, they have similar disposition, demeanor, attitude. You know, they don't say a lot. They just handle business. They're tough. They remind me of spitting image of each other in terms of like what they represent.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what you just described, I couldn't agree more. I mean, what you really described was they're not only bringing them up as, champion quality fighters, but quality people too. They're doing a good job, which other fathers out there's plenty that have done good jobs too. But we're talking right now about these, and they've done a good job.
And there's plenty who have not done a good job.
Of course there are. But these two have done a heck of a job raising their kids as both people and as champions. That I think from what we know, I think any father would be proud of them to be their sons.
Definitely.
But anyway, that's what happened in that fight. And I really, again, that's when you mention fights that you want to see, I think the fans should be mentioning. Again, they're not as familiar with those names, or they're familiar with Inoue, but not Nakatani, and how intriguing a fight that truly would be. Truly would be.
Yeah.
Junto Nakatani, I finally found my note. Heading to a 28-0, 21 knockouts. He's only 26 years old, Nakatani. So, again, I think we might be heading towards a showdown. We'll see.
Yep. Well, let's jump over to the zone on Friday night. Junior welterweight.